Brad Felix is the longtime head coach of the Hillsdale High School Hornets, and he's got one of the hottest teams around, and we're thrilled to have him in studio tonight. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good, Andy. Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Well, you're always welcome. You don't have to come just once a year. I'd like to have you every week. We can make it a coach's show.
That'd be
Brad
great.
Felix show.
I'd be willing to do that. It'd be fun.
14-1, man. We talked a lot before the season started. Our kids play ball together, and you were optimistic. I don't know that you thought you were going to win 14 of your first 15 games. How surprising is it that you've had this kind of start?
I'm fairly surprised. I'm happy at the same time, but this has kind of snuck up on me a little bit. You're right. I did have high expectations going in. I thought we were fast where we needed to be fast, and we had just the right kind of mix to run the system that I like to run. But anticipating 14-1, I didn't anticipate that. But now that we're here, we've kind of created a little bit of our own pressure on ourselves, I think.
That's the way to do it, huh? I mean, that's perfect.
Well, I'd rather have this kind of pressure than 1-14.
Try to win in one game, huh? That kind of pressure?
Yeah, exactly.
Coach Felix with us. Tell us about these two men you brought with you tonight.
I brought my captains with me. Sophomore Brandon Bisher, even though he's only a sophomore, he's been on the varsity for his second year. We've got a lot of high expectations for him in his future. Kind of surprising to have a sophomore, I guess, as a captain, but I think he's proven himself worthy. And then I also brought with me junior Zach VanOrman. And you're seeing our size right here. He's our lone big man, so to say, 6'5". And
I like that he's getting the curls back. He went to the high and tight there for a while, but he's letting the curls grow back. It looks good.
Yeah, well, you're entitled to your opinion on that one.
I thought you might say that. What's the key to this team so far? You played the first, was it 4 or 5 games with Albion Hall, who's your star point guard. Did that end up being a blessing in disguise? Did guys get put into situations where they had to step up that maybe wouldn't have early? Talk about the early part of your season with Albion.
Well, there was some adjusting to do, obviously, but at the same time, we knew going in that Lee wasn't going to be available, so it wasn't like a mid-season major adjustment we had to really make. So we kind of put the guys in spots in the preseason as a coaching staff and kind of went into the season knowing that he wasn't going to be there. So, to be honest, we felt still pretty good about our chances going in, even without Lee. I personally felt like if we could get through it, though, 3-1, 2-2, even. I thought the front part of our schedule was pretty tough. I was going to be happy with that, and we got through it 3-1. So I was fairly pleased with that, and we sort of survived, so to say. And I knew he would only make us better when he did return, and I think he has.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let's talk about the one blemish on the record. I had a chance to do that game with Scott. Bob was out, I think, in California during that time, and Onstead threw a lot of size at you. They have a big team. You did not have Leandre Hall in that game, and I know that talking to you after the game, you really believed that despite Onstead's size and what they bring to the picture, you really felt like a couple of shots fall and you execute a little bit better in the half court, that you could have won that game even up there at Onstead without Leandre Hall.
Right, definitely. But we didn't lose to a bunch of chumps at Onstead either. Right. They're having a good season over there, and they've got a quality basketball team. It's the biggest team we have played all season, and they look like a small college team to us, really. And then they mixed in 2 really good guards on top of it. Mm-hmm. They had a quality point guard and a quality shooting guard with their 6'5", 6'6" forwards and centers, and they just really, really sagged on us that night, and we just couldn't loosen it up with any perimeter jump shots. Mm-hmm. And that was a problem last year for us. We really didn't think that was going to be much of a problem this year, although outside shooting does come and go even when you have good shooters. But that night we couldn't find the basket at all, and we just couldn't generate anything off our press and anything with our defense, and yet we were right in the game. Yep. Like we did talk about, we were right there, and even right in the fourth quarter, I just felt like if we could knock down some shots and make Onstead feel like we were in it, it could have been a different game, but then we'd have the pressure going undefeated, and so that's good we got that out of the way and just lost it.
Is there any way that you would hook up with them again in a tournament game? Is that a possibility?
It's not a possibility because they're Class B.
Oh, see, that's not going to happen.
We're Class C, so
no extra cracks for the seniors at Onstead. I'm sure they'd like another crack at them.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. And I'm sure Lee would like to be involved and try to see if he could make a difference in that game. But they'll be in our league next year, so it's not like they're going away.
These guys will get another couple of chances at them next year.
Absolutely.
For sure. Okay, you get through the holiday tournament, you win that, you get into the league season. Can you isolate a moment early in the league year when you thought, okay, this is a test that we've passed, and now I think we can be pretty good?
Albion.
Even that late, yep.
Yeah, I really felt like we should have won our first 3 league games. I thought we matched up pretty good with Stockbridge, Lansing, and Western. I really wanted to get to Columbia at 3-0. A Columbia game on the road. At that point in time, they were saying there was really 3 big teams in the league at that point because 3 of us were 3-0 and the rest of the league was 0-for. Right. So that was a big game. It was on Jackson TV, and we went up there and battled, and came out on top. And then, quite frankly, Leslie comes in and just gave us fits, and we managed to beat them by 3. So I think, winning some close games was huge. I sometimes that's a real good sign of a good team too. It's one thing to blow teams out, but when you're a lot more talented than somebody else, that's not a real good testament to how good a team you have sometimes. And I think by scratching out some victories that were, not handed to us, kind of showed me something about our team. Then our perseverance against Albion was phenomenal. I think it was really that night that I thought this team could be special for us, just because there was such a range of emotion. We're up 48-42 with 20 seconds to go, and in 10 seconds, they bank in 2 threes and send us to overtime. That could have been a major blow. Then we're up 2 with 6 seconds to go and block the tying shot, and we block it right to their center, and he puts it up at the horn and banks it in again, sending us a double overtime. And our guys just go on to win by 10 or whatever it ended up being. I thought, that showed a lot of mental toughness on our part. And I thought then, this could be a special team.
Yeah, I did too, just because I've seen this happen so many times when a team blows a lead late in the regulation and then they just tank it the rest of the way. It's not meant to be, or they get down and they don't finish. You guys finished that game, even though you blew it late, and you won it. How big is it just to beat Albion? I talked to you a long time before that game, and you had all their plays drawn up, although they don't run a lot of stuff. And, you were really excited about the challenge. I mean, how gratifying to beat those guys last year in the league with them and to post a victory against a team like Albion.
Well, you have to go through Albion if you want any chance of winning our league. I just think our league is extremely difficult to win because really everybody is just as good as we are, to be honest. But nobody can seem to knock off Albion. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I kind of feel like we're the only team in our league that'll beat them. So you're kind of forced to split with them and then hope you don't trip up to anybody else because they won't. So you have to you almost have to go undefeated in our league to win the league. It's just that difficult to beat them alone. And it's just so good to beat them. I mean, even when we had, our undefeated seasons, Albion was just torture. It was really difficult to beat them, even when we had our best of teams. So, I credit these guys. That's a tough team to beat.
You look at your roster, and I like the balance on it. You have a Cam Holroyd, who's a big-time scorer and can do so many different things. And then you talk about those kids off the bench, like a Sean Miller and those kinds of role-playing guys. And then a Dusty Lewis, who's kind of a glue guy for your team that does all the little things. You don't have a bunch necessarily of superstars, but you have a team that seems to fit together pretty well, don't you?
Right. We have 11 goals as a team that we try to accomplish every night, and we keep track of them. And we always feel like if we can get 7 or 8 of those goals a night, we're usually going to win. And one of those goals is our bench versus their bench. And it's not just points. We tally up points and rebounds. And our bench has only been outperformed once all season long. So we really feel like our depth, it plays a huge role in our success. And those guys definitely deserve a lot of praise. We just don't have a whole lot of drop-off when we sub. You know, I mean, what Lewis gives us, we feel like, you know, Sean can give us, you know, close to that at least. You know, Kenton McCosh has come off the bench and hit some huge three-pointers for us this year and keeps us going that way. You know, we got Zach coming off the bench, and quite frankly, he probably deserved to be starting right now. You know, and he's our main inside player. Does a great job in there. And then we got some young guys. You know, I mean, Patrick Drews has been kind of bouncing around, but Andrew Wilcox has had a huge game. I mean, he played a major role in us beating Leslie. Came out, we had some foul trouble in that game, and he came in and just played an outstanding basketball game for us. So our bench guys, you know, not only do they give us effort in practice, but you know, they've all played in every game.
Yeah, and they make a contribution, and I think that's important when the kids feel like they're part of it. You know, they're not just on the bench cheering on the other guys, but they have a role, and they better carry out their role if you're going to win.
Right. You know, and it's important in the system we play.
Right.
You know, we get after it so hard in practice every day, and it's a grind. To put it bluntly, you know, if I had to describe it in one word, it's a grind. And you have to be in fantastic shape to play the way we play. And really, even right now, as February starts rolling on, you know, you get leg weary and whatnot. So we need depth to play the way I want them to play. So, you know, but we don't need a ton. I mean, to be honest, it's been kind of nice having right around 9 guys, and everybody, you know, has been pitching in. And for the most part, you know, we keep minutes on the bench, and you know, everybody right now is averaging double figures in minutes, so that's over a quarter a game for every guy. Let
me ask Bisher a question here, the sophomore captain, Brandon Bisher. When you guys are playing a game like what you had with the Lansing Christian or some of the earlier games, and I talked to Bobby and Scott about this, you guys will be out there running your stuff, and some of the other teams you face will start to get tired. They'll start to slow down. You can tell that they're getting fatigued out there. How exciting, how much does that pump you guys up when you just know you're in better shape than the teams that you're taking on?
I think that gives us a real a boost in the game. Like Coach said, we work very hard in practice. And one of our things coming into this season was we wanted our coaches to challenge us mentally. And so they ran us, and they run us every day. And I think that it's played a big role in our success in games. And so when we're out on the court and we see the other team grabbing their shorts, feeling tired, that makes us feel like, hey, our hard work's paying off, keep working.
It's hard to focus on the game plan when you can't catch your breath, or, you know, your role or your execution, and you can't breathe out there. And I'm sure it's not fun at practice, but I know Coach Felix runs a tough practice, and you got to enjoy it on game night when you have that kind of stamina to make it through the game. Vano, you're a big man, and so for you, I'm guessing those practices are especially fun to go through. What's it been like for you to kind of keep in that kind of shape?
Oh, you know, it's been a blast. Like, I mean, I'm more of a football player. I'm a big offensive lineman, so, I mean, it's kind of a shock when you go from football season. I mean, football shape and basketball shape are a lot different, especially with Coach Felix. And, I mean, but it's so worth it on game time when even the other team's big guys are just, you know, barely can run up and down the floor, and I'm just getting cheap layups.
You know, Bob was picking on you when he walked in about finishing your layups and all of that sort of thing. And in that Onstead game that I did on the radio, I was so disappointed because you missed a couple of shots that you're going to make 95% of the time. What is it about being around the rim in the painted area and just finishing those is that a repetition thing? Is that something that you've had to work on in practice? And how have you worked to get better at that?
Well, we have a summer program that's like the Hornet Elite Club. And so, I mean, Bisher and I are both part of that. So, I mean, that's helped me a lot. But, I mean, still just, you know, shooting after practice or, you know, stuff like that, you just need to keep improving. I mean, that's mainly what basketball is. I mean, you, like Coach said, last year our downfall was shooting. And that's because we didn't have any guys, you know, working hard in the spring, working hard in the summer. And this spring and summer, like Bisher, me, and Kenton McCosh, I mean, we were just working hard, in workouts and shooting. I mean, that's helped us a lot.
We're talking to the Hornet basketball team, 14-1. I want to bring Brandon back in for a second because I don't know any young student athlete that works harder than you do. You must really love the game of basketball, to play as much basketball as you play. It's a year-round, pretty much 365-day-a-year thing for you, isn't it?
Yeah. I love other sports. I like to play pickup games, football. I love wiffle ball. But basketball is something that I've really found from the start to be something that I really love. So I just made up my mind that that's what I wanted to put my effort into. Could
you tell our listeners, I'm sure that this has come out before, but since I have you here today, could you give our listeners just a little taste of what you do to prepare and to practice and to get ready? I'm talking about in the off season. When football season's going on or baseball season, can you give the listeners just a little taste of what you do to prepare for basketball season?
Well, when the season ends at Hillsdale High School, I have about a 2-week break. It's the same thing for VanOrman. We go right into AAU season, which is basically another team that travels. We go in-state, we go out-of-state. We play some of the best teams in the nation sometimes. Our teams come from Texas, California, all over the place, and we play that competition. And on top of that, our coaches, Coach Gordon, Coach Felix, they put on workouts in the spring. And we go through those workouts with them, and then we take those into the summer. And something I've done over the summer is every day I'll grab a buddy and we'll go up to the college and work out for a couple hours, shoot a lot, run, lift. Lifting's a big part of it, just trying to stay in shape best we can, just preparing for next season.
Brandon Bisher from the Hornets with us, along with Zach VanOrman and Coach Felix. You guys named captains as underclassmen, sophomores and juniors. Was this a team vote? How did that transpire that you guys ended up being captains?
Well, we had a team cookout like as soon as the season started at Coach Gordon's house, and we ended up just voting for captains. And Bisher and I were unanimously picked. So I mean that it says a lot. I mean, even though we're two underclassmen, I mean it says a lot that we're doing. Got to be doing something right. If
so
we're
you're
captains.
Telling me like the seniors like Dusty Lewis or Cam Holroyd voted for you guys to be captain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's got to be real special. And how has that been as far as, maintaining that leadership role as an underclassman? Has that been tough? Is it awkward sometimes to be a captain when there are other seniors on the team? How has that worked out?
I mean, sometimes it's tough to try to get command of a guy like Cameron Holroyd, but right. I mean, it's pretty fun. I mean, they usually listen, like for trying to get control of practice or something. But, I mean, it can be tough sometimes.
Coach, what role do you kind of put with the captains through as far as that? You're talking about getting a control of practice. The kids are kind of horsing around or whatever. Do you let the captains have some of that responsibility, or do you kind of nip that in the bud yourself?
Generally, I nip it in the bud myself. But there are times when we talk to our kids about policing themselves, a little bit in practice. And I believe that's a captain's role. And, I mean, we put a lot on our captains, yet it's not that demanding of a role when things are going relatively smoothly during the season. But, I'll bring these guys in on some decisions that are tough to make, maybe talking about a suspension of a player or anything that involves another guy, we might bring these guys in on a conversation like that. If we're going to make some sort of a team decision about something, a lot of times I'll bring these guys in on a decision like that. But to my guys' credit and to this team's credit, we haven't created a lot of our own adversity this year. You're gonna have adversity, but we had some last year that we created on our own with poor decisions. But we haven't, and knock on wood, it won't happen now, but we haven't created a lot of our own problems. So these guys have had kind of an easy captainship, I would say,
To have these guys to coach, you talk about a Brandon Bisher. He mentioned he goes to the gym all summer long, and a couple of times last summer, my son, Owen, who plays with your boy, had a chance to go with the Conrad boys and Brandon to work out and play basketball. And he comes back just grinning from ear to ear, talking about how exciting it was to play basketball with Brandon Bisher. And you talk about role models at the pro level or the college level. Well, here's a couple of kids right here that get it done in the classroom, that represent your school with incredible class during the basketball games that you play in around the area. I mean, it's got to be fun to coach these young men who represent your school so well.
Well, a couple comments on that. First of all, I got my eye on your son. He's gotten so much better. Secondly, this team reminds me a little bit of the undefeated group we had, in that they are generating a little bit of excitement around town right now, and that generates excitement in our youth. I remember when we were undefeated that one year, it seemed like every little kid was dribbling a basketball around for the next 2 or 3 years after that. Right. And then it kind of faded for a while. And I feel that happening again right now. The kids are coming out, they're watching us play. And this is fun, a little awkward to say, and we're not trying to toot our own horn or anything, but we had a few kids outside our locker room last Friday wanting autographs. Coaching staff on down to our players, and I talked to the guys on Monday about that, and one of the things I mentioned was, for us to stay grounded, first of all, but the second of all, in my opinion, having autograph, when you reach that status, there's a big responsibility that now comes with that. Mm-hmm. And if you've made yourself known in town that kids want your autograph, now it becomes important that you uphold yourself outside the community properly. Mm-hmm. So, we told our guys that. We talked to them a little bit about that. And, this has been a fantastic group of kids. You're right. It's been fun. It's great that we're 14-1. But I really feel if we were 500 even right now, I just like my guys. Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said for that. I haven't always coached teams where I like all my players. This has been a great group to coach. They work hard for me. They're talented, and yet they're fun to be around. They're just good guys. Yeah, I wanted to ask Brandon about that before I let you guys go, because you played the game. I couldn't do what you do. I mean, I get frustrated when I play a sport or coach a sport, and the way that you're able to maintain your cool and your focus during a game, how important is that to you? And is it just natural to you, or is it something that you think about a little bit when you go into a game?
Well, I have to say that keeping my head is not something that's come natural. I do get frustrated very easily, but it's something that I've worked on. It's something that is important because I see what happens when guys lose their head, mm-hmm. and I think that I can speak for our whole team when I say that everybody works hard to keep their head in the game. When things aren't going well, we go to the locker room. It's not a whole lot of pointing fingers. It's just like, well, what do we need to do to adjust? What do we need to do to get better in the second half? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's been a team effort to keep a positive attitude through the season. I think that's attributed to our success quite a bit. Coach,
before I let you go, I want to preview the rest of the way. Your next game is coming up Friday night on the road?
Correct. We're at Western.
Okay. And then you're back home, is it Monday for your last home game?
We're back home Tuesday. With Columbia. That's going to be kind of a wild night. It's our senior night, which is always special. Columbia obviously is very good. That'll be exciting. And MHSAA TV is also going to be here broadcasting that game on TV. So that's going to be an interesting finale to the home season.
Do you know where people can see that yet? Or we can pass that along later?
I don't really know. It's Channel 90. One of my assistant coaches, Scott Chase, says he has that channel. Okay. I've never heard of such a channel, but I do know you can go online to MHSAA.com, and they have a link there, and you can watch it via computer.
I don't want to look too far ahead because I know you're focused 100% on the next game, but because I won't talk to you again before the next Albion game, will you do anything differently? Is it the same game plan? Are there any tweaks that you need to do going back to Albion to try to beat them one more time?
Well, about 2 days after the Albion game, I cut and watched and studied the Albion game extremely hard, and already am prepared for that game. These guys don't know that until now. But generally speaking, we'll go in with the same game plan, but now we've got a lot of what they tried to do against us on film, and I feel like I've got some different ways that we can defend some of the things that they did. And so we'll make some subtle adjustments. but Albion is so difficult to defend. We tried going in this season, mixing it up a little bit. I thought maybe we could throw a press on them here or there, or go man-to-man on occasion, to just not let them get comfortable with our zone, because they're the one team that we have to zone. We can't stay with them man-to-man. And to be honest, the pressing and the man-to-man backfired. Every time we did that, they scored on us. So we're going to have to, go back in with a zone, and the huge key to beating Albion is that you have to shoot well, and you have to play from out front. As soon as they get just a little cushion, they'll bring the ball out to half court. They're well coached, and their coach fully knows that they don't shoot the ball very well from the perimeter, and they'll pull the ball out and force you to come out of that zone, and then they just take you off the dribble, and it turns into a nightmare then.
And your district at Bronson?
The district is at Union City.
At Union City, that's right.
We drew Bronson on the Monday. And the district, it seems like an eternity away, yet it's right on top of us now. Will be very difficult. Whoever comes out of that district will have earned it and will deserve their hat tip to them, because we're looking at the same district as last year, and the teams seem just as good as they were last year. We needed double overtime against Jonesville. We squeaked by Reading by 2. We're tied with Union City, halfway through the third quarter in the finals, and all those teams have their main guys back. So it's going to be a slugfest to get through there, and whoever wins it deserves it.
Yep. Brad Felix, Zach VanOrman, Brandon Bisher, you've got a lot of people pulling for you. This community is really excited about your team, and it feels good to be excited about your club because of all the things you mentioned and put so well, Coach. It just seems like a great group of kids, and they're fun to follow. Best of luck Friday night and going forward in the season.
All right, thanks.